You believe you are healthy just because your body functions. But I tell you, your very existence as a human is a chronic disease. You are a bridge. A painful tension is stretched between the animal and the divine. And this tension is what you call life. Animals are blissful in their ignorance, and gods are blissful in their light. But you are caught in the middle, a feverish state of unrest. This anguish is not something you have, it is what you are. Only when you cease to be a man can you finally find the cure. My beloved ones, I see you, and in your eyes I see a deep, ancient restlessness. You wander the earth, you build great cities, you accumulate wealth, you seek love, yet something remains fundamentally unfulfilled. There is a gnawing feeling, a subtle ache in the heart that tells you something is not quite right. You think you have problems with your job, your spouse, your health, your future. But I want to tell you something very foundational, something that might shock you. You do not have problems. You are the problem. For philosophy, the problems are infinite. They ask about the beginning of the universe, the nature of matter, the existence of a creator. But for religion, there is only one problem, and that problem is man himself. Man is the problem. Why is this so? Why is it that a tree is not a problem? A lion is not a problem. A rock is not a problem. They simply are. They exist in a state of total ease with their own nature. But man is not at ease. Man is a disease. To understand this, we must look at the unique position man occupies in the cosmos. Animals are not problems because they are blissfully unconscious. They are so deeply asleep in their instincts that there is no self to be aware of a problem. They are ignorant, yes, but their ignorance is a kind of bliss. Then there are the gods, the totally conscious beings. For them, problems simply disappear like darkness before the sun. When consciousness is total, the how and the why cease to exist. But you, my friends, you exist in the middle. You are a bridge. You are neither an animal nor are you yet a god. You are a tension, a stretching between two infinities, the infinity of ignorance and the infinity of knowledge. You are the bridge between the earth and the sky. And a bridge is not a place to live. If you try to build a house on a bridge, you will be in constant anguish. A bridge is meant to be crossed. This is why I say being human is a disease. It is a state of transition. And because it is a transition, it is full of tension, full of dis-ease. I invite you to sit with me for a moment and really feel this tension. Don't try to run away from it. Don't try to drown it in alcohol, or work, or mindless entertainment. Just for a moment, acknowledge this inner restlessness. If you find value in these reflections, I would be happy if you subscribe to our channel and joined our family of seekers. Your presence here is a gift, and by hitting that like button, you help these words reach others who are also struggling with the weight of being human. You see, the animal is horizontal. It lives in time, in the moment, driven by the past and the biology of its ancestors. The divine is vertical. It is pure presence, beyond time. Man is the point where the horizontal meets the vertical. It is a cross. It is no wonder that the symbol of the cross is so central to human history. It represents the intersection of the animal and the divine. You are being pulled in two directions. Your body, your instincts pull you toward the earth, toward the animal. Your potential, your soul, your longing pulls you toward the stars, toward the divine. This pulling is what you call suffering. But this suffering is not a curse. It is an invitation. It is the fire in which the old must burn so the new can be born. In the Atma Pooja Upanishad, it is said to create the fire of awareness in oneself is dhoop, the incense. Think about that. Awareness is the incense, but for incense to give off its fragrance, it must burn. You must burn. Your ego, your certainties, your known world must be consumed by the fire of awareness. I often hear people say they want peace. But how can a bridge be at peace? A bridge is under constant stress. Peace only comes when you reach the other shore. Yet you are afraid of the other shore because it is the unknown. You cling to your humanness, you cling to your misery because at least it is familiar. You are like a prisoner who has fallen in love with his chains because he has forgotten the vastness of the sky outside the prison walls. If you are enjoying this journey into the unknown with me, consider checking out our join button. By becoming a member, you support the dissemination of these ancient truths and help us keep this flame alive for everyone. Also, many of you have asked for deeper study. Our ebooks are available to help you navigate these internal landscapes with more clarity. Your support through super thanks also allows us to continue producing these meditations for the global community. Let us look deeper into this disease. Why do we feel so fragmented? It is because we are a house divided. One part of you wants to be a saint, the other part wants to be a sinner. One part wants to meditate, the other part wants to indulge. This fragmentation is the very nature of the mind. The mind cannot be whole. It is a collection of contradictions. And you are identified with this mind. You think I am this thought or I am that emotion. When you say I am angry, you have become the anger. In that moment, the bridge has forgotten it is a bridge and has tried to become the storm passing over it. The secret of the Upanishads, the secret of what I call the ultimate alchemy, is to stop being the storm and start being the witness of the storm. Awareness is the gateway toward Eden. You have heard the story of the fall of man, the expulsion from the Garden of Eden. What was the sin of Adam? It was the tasting of the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Before that, Adam was an animal, blissful, innocent, unconscious. The moment he tasted knowledge, he became man. He became aware of his nakedness. He became aware of his separation from God. He became a problem to himself. But there is a second tree in that garden, the tree of life. To eat of the tree of life, you must go beyond knowledge. You must move from the known to the unknown and finally to the unknowable. Science deals with the known. Philosophy deals with the unknown. But religion deals with the unknowable. And that is where the cure for the disease of being human lies. The cure is not to become a better human. The cure is to transcend the human altogether. You cannot fix the bridge, you have to cross it. And to cross it, you need a very specific kind of energy. You need the energy of dhyanam, meditation. Meditation is not what you think it is. It is not sitting in a corner and repeating a mantra. It is not a mental exercise. Meditation is a state of being. It is the constant contemplation of that which is beyond the mind. It is the Om that resonates in the silence of your heart when all the noise of the world has stopped. I want you to leave a comment below. Tell me, in your daily life, when do you feel this tension the most? Is it in your relationships? In your solitude? Let us share our experiences. For even though we are on a bridge, We are crossing it together. And if you feel this message could light a spark in someone else's life, please share this video. Let the fragrance of the incense spread. We are just beginning to scratch the surface of this alchemy. We must understand the difference between the known, the unknown, and the unknowable. If you stay only with the known, you remain a machine. If you move into the unknown, you become a seeker. But if you allow yourself to be swallowed by the unknowable, you become a god. Don't be afraid of your disease. Your restlessness is a sign of life. Only the dead are not restless. Your anguish is a proof that you are not yet what you are meant to be. It is the labor pain of the soul. Something is trying to be born in you. Don't suppress it. Don't rationalize it away. In the next part of our talk, we will dive deeper into how this awareness functions and how you can begin to stoke that inner fire without being consumed by fear. We are moving from the realm of science and philosophy into the very heart of the Upanishads, the realm of the soul. Stay with me, stay present, and let us breathe together into this mystery. Science is the exploration of the known. It is a very safe territory. You can measure it, you can weigh it, you can categorize it. It is comfortable. But science can never satisfy the human soul. Because the soul is not a thing. It cannot be measured. Then comes philosophy, the realm of the unknown. Philosophy is a struggle to know that which we do not yet know. It is a bridge between science and religion. But philosophy is also not enough because it remains an intellectual gymnastic. You can think about God, you can write thick volumes about the soul, but you have not tasted it. You are like a man who reads a cookbook while he is starving. The words are there, the recipes are there, but the stomach remains empty. Religion begins where the unknown ends and the unknowable starts. The unknowable is that which cannot be known by the mind. It can only be lived. It can only be experienced. It can only be been. This is the ultimate alchemy. To move from the mind to the being, to move from the collector of information to the radiator of transformation. I tell you, the reason you feel like a disease is that you are trying to treat the unknowable as if it were the known. You are trying to fit the vast ocean into a tiny cup. You are trying to define the indefinable. Your religions, your scriptures, your priests, they are all trying to give you maps of a territory that has no map. They give you definitions of God, but a God defined is a God dead. The moment you define something, you have limited it, and the divine is the limitless. Feel this within yourself. There is a part of you that is always silent, always watching. Even when you are angry, even when you are sad, even when you are in deep pain, there is a witness. That witness is not the disease, that witness is the health. But you are not identified with the witness, you are identified with the pain. You are identified with the anger. If you can just shift your perspective, if you can just step back 1 inch, the whole quality of your existence changes. Think of a person who is looking at a movie on a screen. If he becomes too identified with the movie, he will cry when the hero dies. He will be afraid when the villain appears. He forgets that he is just a spectator. He forgets that the screen is empty and the images are just light and shadow. You are the screen. Life is the movie. The disease is the identification. The cure is the realization. I am the screen, not the shadow. This is why the Upanishads say, Chidagni Swarupam Dhupa. To create the fire of awareness in oneself is the incense. This fire does not destroy you, it only destroys that which is not you. It burns away the false, the borrowed, the ego. It leaves behind the gold of your true nature. But the process of burning is painful. You have lived with your ego for so long that you think you are the ego. You think that if the ego dies, you will die. But I tell you, only when the ego dies do you truly begin to live. Man is a project, a continuous becoming. You are never a finished product. A tree is a finished product. It has reached its potential the moment it has grown to its full height. A rock is a finished product, but man is an open-ended story. This is the glory and the misery of being human. You have the potential to become a Buddha, and you also have the potential to stay a beast. The choice is yours in every moment, but you don't choose, you react. You are a mechanical being. Someone pushes a button and you get angry. Someone pushes another button and you feel happy. You are like a puppet with 1,000 strings, and you don't even know who is pulling them. Your society, your parents, your conditioning, They are all pulling the strings. And you call this life? This is not life. This is a slow death. To be human is to be in a state of constant civil war. Your body wants one thing, your mind wants another, and your soul is crying for something else entirely. You are a crowd, not an individual. The word individual means that which cannot be divided. But you are divided. You are fragmented into 1,000 pieces. And each piece is fighting for dominance. How can such a fragmented being be at peace? It is impossible. Peace is not something you can find in the outside world. Peace is the result of integration. It is the result of becoming one. And only awareness can bring this oneness. Awareness is the light that reveals the fragmentation. Once you see the fragmentation, it begins to drop away by itself. You don't have to try to be one. You just have to see the many. The mind loves to solve problems. That is its function. But it cannot solve the problem of being human because it is the problem. It is like a man who is trying to lift himself up by his own shoelaces. It is an exercise in futility. You must go beyond the mind. You must enter the heart. Not the emotional heart, but the spiritual heart. The center of your being. There in that center there is no tension. There is no disease. There is only the vast, empty sky of consciousness. In that sky, clouds come and go, but the sky remains untouched. Thoughts come and go, emotions come and go, but the witness remains untouched. You have been taught to fear the silence. You have been taught to fear being alone. But in that silence and in that aloneness, you will find your true self. Loneliness is the disease. Aloneness is the cure. Loneliness is the feeling that you are missing someone else. Aloneness is the realization that you are enough for yourself. We spend our whole lives trying to escape this aloneness. We fill our lives with people, with noise, with gadgets, with ambitions. We are afraid that if we stop, we will have to face ourselves. And what we fear most is the void we might find inside. But that void is not empty. It is a pregnant void. It is the womb of existence. From that void, everything is born, and into that void, everything returns. If you look at the life of a flower, it starts as a seed in the dark earth. It has to struggle. It has to break its own cell. It has to push through the soil to find the light. That struggle is the disease of the seed. But without that disease, there would be no flower. You are the seed. Your misery, your tension, your humanness is the cell. Don't be afraid to break it. The Upanishads are the most revolutionary documents in human history because they don't give you a set of beliefs, they give you a set of experiments. They don't say believe in this, they say do this and see what happens. It is a science of the soul. And the first experiment is watch your breath. Not because there is anything magical about breathing, but because the breath is the bridge between the body and the soul. It is the link between the known and the unknown. When you are angry, your breath changes. When you are calm, your breath changes. By watching the breath, you begin to see the subtle connection between your physical state and your consciousness. As you watch, you will notice that there is a watcher. And that is the beginning of the end of the disease. The moment the watcher appears, the disease starts to lose its grip on you. You realize that you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the breath. You are that which is aware of all these. This awareness is not something you have to acquire, it is your very nature. You have only forgotten it. You have become so busy looking at the world that you have forgotten the one who is looking. It is as if a man is looking through a window and gets so fascinated by the garden outside that he forgets he is standing inside a room. I am here to remind you of the room. I am here to remind you of the watcher, not to give you a new philosophy, not to give you a new religion, but to take away everything that is not you. My work is not a work of addition, it is a work of subtraction. I want to leave you in your total nakedness, in your total suchness. In that suchness there is no man. There is only life. There is only the divine. The bridge has been crossed. The river has reached the ocean. And when the river reaches the ocean, it does not become the ocean. It is the ocean. This journey is not for the faint of heart. It is for the courageous ones. The ones who are willing to risk everything for the sake of the truth. It is for those who are tired of the games, tired of the masks, tired of the endless cycle of desire and frustration. If you are listening to me, it means you are ready. You are ready to acknowledge your disease and you are ready to seek the cure. But remember, the cure is within you. I can only point the way. I can only be a mirror in which you can see your true face. The sun is rising, the birds are singing, the flowers are blooming. The whole existence is in a state of celebration. Only man is in a state of mourning. Why? Because man is the only one who can say no to existence. The tree cannot say no. The bird cannot say no. They are in a total yes. Man has the freedom to say no, and that no is the source of all his misery. The day you say a total yes to existence, the disease will vanish. When you say yes to your life as it is, without any conditions, without any demands, then the alchemy happens. Then the base metal of your human life is transformed into the pure gold of divinity. So don't fight with yourself. Don't try to be good. Don't try to be holy. Just try to be aware. Just try to be present. In that presence, everything that is false will fall away, and only that which is eternal will remain. Let us continue this exploration. Let us go deeper into the mystery of the Upanishads, into the mystery of our own being. There is so much to see, so much to understand. But remember, understanding is not enough. You must live it. You must breathe it. You must be it. This being is not a destination in the future. It is not a goal you reach after many years of effort. This is the first thing to understand. The disease of being human is fueled by the idea of becoming. You are always trying to become something else. The poor man wants to become rich, the rich man wants to become powerful, the powerful man wants to become a saint, and the saint wants to become God. This constant becoming is the fever. It is the very mechanism of the mind that keeps you in a state of tension. You are never here. You are always there, in the then, in the tomorrow. But the cure, the ultimate alchemy, happens only in the now. The now is the only time that exists, yet it is the only time the mind cannot inhabit. The mind is like a pendulum. It swings between the past and the future. If the pendulum stops in the middle, the clock stops. If the mind stops in the now, the world as you know it stops, and the divine begins. I tell you, do not try to choose. This is a very subtle point. Usually, your religions tell you to choose the good over the evil, the spirit over the matter, the light over the darkness. But the moment you choose, you have divided yourself again. You have created a conflict. If you choose the good, then the bad becomes your shadow. and it will haunt you. It will wait for the moment you are tired, the moment you are unconscious, to spring back upon you. Real transformation does not come through choice. It comes through choiceless awareness. When you are simply aware of the whole situation, of your anger and your desire for peace, of your greed and your desire for charity, when you see both sides clearly, without taking a side, something miraculous happens. In that state of non-choice, the energy that was wasted in conflict is integrated. You become a whole. Feel the weight of this. You have been taught that you must work on yourself, that you must improve yourself. This very idea of improvement is part of the disease. It implies that you are not okay as you are. It implies that God made a mistake when He created you, and now you have to fix it. I say to you, you are perfect as you are. Even your imperfection is part of your unique perfection. The disease is not that you are flawed. The disease is that you think you should be something else. This creates an abyss within you. On one side is the reality of who you are. On the other side is the ideal of who you should be. And you are suspended in the middle, over a dark, bottomless pit. This is the tension of the bridge. You are afraid to look down into the abyss, so you keep running toward the ideal. But the faster you run, the more the abyss grows. Stop running. Just for a moment, stop. Look into the abyss. Look into your own emptiness. You will find that the abyss is not your enemy. It is the womb of your being. It is the silence from which all music arises. It is the darkness that gives birth to the light. The Upanishads call this state nischintanam. It is a state of no thought or beyond thought. Usually we think that meditation means thinking about God or thinking about a mantra. But that is still thinking. That is still the mind. True meditation, dhyanam, is the constant contemplation of that which is beyond thought. It is a deep, silent looking. Think of a lake. When the water is turbulent, when there are many waves, you cannot see the bottom. You cannot even see your own reflection clearly. It is distorted, broken into 1,000 pieces. This is your mind. The waves are your desires, your thoughts, your anxieties. You are so busy looking at the waves that you have forgotten the depth of the lake. When the wind stops, when the waves subside, the lake becomes a mirror. For the first time you see the bottom. For the first time, you see yourself as you are, and what you see is not a disease. What you see is the most beautiful thing in the existence. You see that you are not separate from the stars, from the trees, from the ocean. You see that you are the very pulse of the universe. But the ego is afraid of this stillness. The ego can only exist in the movement, in the struggle. If you are at peace, the ego dies. If you are silent, the ego vanishes. That is why your mind will always find a new problem to worry about. If you solve one problem, the mind will immediately create another. It has to keep the pot boiling. It has to keep you in a state of dis-ease to ensure its own survival. Understand this strategy of the mind. Don't fight the mind. Just watch its games. Watch how it creates shoulds and musts. Watch how it makes you feel guilty for being natural. Watch how it promises you happiness in the future to keep you miserable in the present. I see people who have been meditating for years, but they are more tense than ever. Why? Because they have turned meditation into a task. They are trying to meditate. They are fighting their thoughts. They have made meditation into another competition, another goal to achieve. Meditation cannot be achieved. It can only be allowed. It is like sleep. You cannot do sleep. If you try to sleep, you will stay awake. You can only create the conditions for sleep. You can lie down, you can turn off the lights, you can close your eyes, and then you wait. Sleep comes to you. You don't go to sleep. Meditation is exactly like that. You sit silently, you watch your breath, you watch your thoughts, and you wait. You don't do anything. You are in a state of wu-wei, action through inaction. And then in a moment you least expect it, the silence descends. The ego disappears. The human is gone and the divine is there. This is the ultimate alchemy. Alchemy is the art of transformation. In the old days, the alchemists tried to turn lead into gold. That was just a metaphor for what we are doing here. The lead is your heavy, unconscious, burdened human state. The gold is the light, conscious, free state of Buddhahood. How does the lead become gold? Through fire, through the Chidagni, the fire of consciousness. When you bring the light of awareness to any part of your life, that part is transformed. If you bring awareness to your anger, the anger becomes compassion. If you bring awareness to your sex, it becomes samadhi. If you bring awareness to your greed, it becomes sharing. Awareness is the master key. It opens every door. But it requires a great courage to use it, because it will destroy your old self completely. You will not come out of this fire as the same person who went in. You will be a new man. The old man is a creature of the past. He is a collection of memories, traditions, and conditionings. He is a dead thing. The new man is a creature of the moment. He is fresh, he is spontaneous, he is alive. He has no past and no future. He is a pure presence. I want you to feel this presence right now. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, just stop for a second. Breathe. Feel the air entering your lungs. Feel the life force moving in your body. Notice the sounds around you without judging them. Just be a witness. In this very moment, is there a problem? In this very moment, is there a disease? No. In the pure present, there is no disease. The disease only exists when you compare what is with what should be. The moment you drop the comparison, the disease vanishes. You are back in the Garden of Eden. You have eaten of the tree of life. This is the message of the Upanishads. They are not interested in teaching you about God. They are interested in making you God. They are not interested in giving you a better life. They are interested in giving you the life. But the path is narrow. It is like walking on a razor's edge. On one side is the abyss of the animal, the regression into unconsciousness, into drugs, into violence, into mindless indulgence. On the other side is the abyss of the intellectual, the loss of reality in words, in theories, in knowledge. You must walk the middle path. You must stay aware, balanced, and present. Man is a bridge, yes, but he is a bridge that is constantly growing. The bridge itself is alive, and as you walk, the bridge disappears behind you. There is no going back. You can only go forward into the unknown. Do not be afraid of the unknown. The unknown is the friend. The known is the prison. The unknown is where the miracles happen. The unknown is the territory of the divine. In your life, you have always tried to make everything certain. You want a certain job, a certain relationship, a certain future. But certainty is a state of death. Only the dead are certain. Life is a beautiful uncertainty. Life is a constant surprise. If you are looking for certainty, you are looking for a grave. If you can fall in love with uncertainty, if you can find a thrill in the unknown, then you have understood the secret of life. Then the tension of being human becomes a dance. Then the disease becomes a celebration. You are no longer struggling to reach the other shore. You are enjoying the walk on the bridge. You are enjoying the view. You are enjoying the wind in your hair. This is what I call the Sahaj state, the natural state. It is the state where you are so at ease with yourself and the universe that there is no you left. There is only the Om, the sound of the universe vibrating in your soul. We must go deeper into how to maintain this Om, this constant contemplation in the midst of the marketplace. It is easy to be silent in the mountains, but to be silent in the middle of a crowd, that is the real alchemy. To be in the world, but not of it. To play the game, but to know it is just a game. This is where the real work begins. Up until now, we have been talking about the theory. Now we must look at the practice. We must look at how the fire of awareness can be kept burning 24 hours a day. Not as a task, but as a fragrance that follows you wherever you go. Listen to the silence between my words. That silence is more important than the words themselves. The words are just the incense sticks. The silence is the fragrance. Let the fragrance enter your heart. Let it soak into your being. You are much more than you think you are. You are an infinite possibility. You are a ray of the sun. You are a drop of the ocean. Don't settle for anything less than the whole. The disease of being human is just a small phase. It is the darkness before the dawn. And I tell you, the dawn is very close. Just stay awake. Just keep your eyes open. The sun is about to rise, and when it does, you will see that there was never any disease. There was only a dream, and you have finally woken up. Let us sit for a moment in this Om, in this vibration of existence. Don't think about what I have said. Don't analyze it. Just let it vibrate within you. Let the Om wash away all the problems, all the identities, all the diseases. Just for this moment, be the unknowable. Logic is a circle. It is a very sophisticated, very polished prison. You can walk around in it for lifetimes and never find a door, because logic is only concerned with the how and never with the who. It can explain the movement of the stars, but it cannot explain the one who is looking at the stars. And this is the core of the human disease. We have become experts in the object, and we have become completely ignorant of the subject. We know everything about the world, and we know nothing about ourselves. The mind is a logic machine. It wants to categorize everything. It wants to label this as good and that as evil. But existence knows no such categories. In existence, the tiger eating the deer is not evil, and the flower blooming is not virtuous. It is simply life moving in its own way. But the human mind enters and says, this should not be. That should is the beginning of your neurosis. The moment you say this should not be, you have declared war on existence. And in a war against existence, you are bound to lose. Your misery is simply the sign of your defeat. You must understand the difference between the unknown and the unknowable. This is foundational for anyone who wants to cross the bridge. The known is that which we have already mapped. The unknown is that which we haven't mapped yet, but we will. One day, science will discover everything that is unknown. But the unknowable is of a different quality altogether. It is not that it is waiting to be known. It is that its very nature is such that it cannot be reduced to knowledge. It is like the fragrance of a flower. You can analyze the chemical composition of the flower. You can weigh the petals. You can study the biology, but the fragrance is something that escapes the test tube. It is a mystery. Religion is the courage to live with the unknowable. Logic is the attempt to reduce the unknowable to the known. This is why philosophy always fails. Philosophy tries to think about the unknowable, but you cannot think about it. You can only be it. Thinking is a movement away from the center. It is a peripheral activity. The more you think, the further away you are from the reality of your being. This is why the great thinkers of the world are often the most miserable. Their heads are huge, but their hearts have shriveled. They are top heavy. They are like a pyramid standing on its apex. very unstable, always about to fall. The Upanishads say, Om Tasya Nischintanam Dhyanam. Meditation is the constant contemplation of that, the unknowable. But look at the word Nischintanam. It means a state of no anxiety, a state of no thought. How can you contemplate something if you are not thinking? This is the paradox. Usually, contemplation means thinking deeply about a subject. But in the alchemy of the soul, contemplation means a silent, wordless looking. It is like looking at a mountain. You don't have to say the mountain is high. You don't have to say the mountain is beautiful. You just look. In that looking, the mountain and the looker become one. The distance disappears. This distance is the disease. The distance between you and your life. The distance between you and your partner. The distance between you and the divine. You are always here, and the goal is always there. This space in between is filled with tension, with anxiety, with dis-ease. When the distance disappears, when you are no longer a looker but the looking itself, the tension vanishes, but you are afraid to let go of the distance. Why? Because the distance gives you an ego. The ego can only exist if there is an other. If I am here and the world is there, then I am an I. If the world and I are one, then where is the I? It disappears. And the ego is terrified of disappearing. It would rather be miserable and exist than be blissful and disappear. This is the root of your attachment to your problems. You talk about your problems, you complain about them, you seek advice for them, but you don't really want to drop them. Because if you drop your problems, who will you be? Your problems give you a biography. They give you a story. Without your misery, you are a nobody. And to be a nobody is the greatest achievement in the world of the spirit. I want to tell you about a different kind of health. Not the health of the body, though that is good, but the health of the soul. True health is wholeness. The word health comes from the same root as whole and holy. You are healthy only when you are whole. But you are a fragment. You are 1,000 voices screaming in different directions. One part of you wants to be a Buddha. Another part wants to be a billionaire. Another part just wants to sleep. You are a chaos. And you try to manage this chaos through logic, through rules, through morality. You say, I will follow these 10 commandments and then I will be whole. But rules are external. They are like a cage. A lion in a cage is not well behaved, he is just suppressed. The moment the cage door opens, he will be more dangerous than ever. Your morality is just a cage. Your goodness is just a mask. Underneath, the same old disease is boiling. I don't want you to be good, I want you to be conscious. Goodness is a byproduct of consciousness. If you are conscious, if you are aware, you cannot hurt anyone. Not because a book told you not to, but because you feel the other person as yourself. When you are aware, the other is no longer an other. The separation is seen as an illusion. This awareness is what the Upanishads call the fire. It is a fire because it consumes the person. It consumes the mask. It leaves only the Atman, the pure, unadulterated existence. But to reach this fire, you have to pass through the unknown. You have to step off the map. The mind is always looking for a map. It asks, give me a technique. Give me a step-by-step guide. But there are no steps to the divine. It is a leap. It is not a movement from A to B to C. It is a movement from the horizontal to the vertical. It is a jump into the abyss. Look at your life. You have tried every map provided by society. You went to school, you got a job, you got married, you did everything you were supposed to do, and yet the disease remains. The emptiness is still there. In fact, it is deeper now, because you have run out of things to try. This is a beautiful moment. This is the moment of frustration that can lead to transformation. When you realize that nothing in the known can satisfy you, you are finally ready for the unknowable. But the mind is very clever. Even when it enters the realm of spirituality, it tries to make it a science. It wants to measure your progress. It asks, how many hours did I meditate? How many chakras have I opened? This is just the same disease in a new skin. It is spiritual materialism. You are still trying to achieve. You are still trying to become. I say to you, stop becoming. Be. Just be. This being is not a state of laziness. It is a state of intense, silent alertness. It is like a cat sitting before a mouse hole. The cat is not doing anything, but it is totally present. Every fiber of its being is focused. This is nischintanam. There is no thinking, but there is a total presence. When you are in this state of presence, the Om begins to resonate. The Om is not a word you repeat, it is the sound of existence itself. It is the vibration of the life force. Scientists today say that matter is nothing but energy, and energy is nothing but vibration. The ancient rishis called this vibration Om. When your mind becomes silent, you can hear this vibration in your own heart. It is the sound of the universe. And once you hear that sound, the disease of being human is cured. Because you realize that you are not a separate, lonely, struggling human. You are the sound. You are the dancer and the dance. You are the ocean and the wave. The bridge is no longer a place of tension. It is a place of celebration. Why is man the only one who can celebrate? Because man is the only one who can be aware. A tree is beautiful, but it doesn't know it is beautiful. A sunset is majestic, but it doesn't know it is majestic. Man is the consciousness of the universe. Through man, the universe looks at itself. Through man, the universe enjoys itself. You are the eyes of God. You are the hands of God. But instead of being the eyes of God, you have become the eyes of the ego. You look through the filters of your desires, your fears, and your prejudices. You don't see what is, you see what you want to see. And this distortion is the disease. To be cured is to have clear eyes, to see things as they are without any interpretation. If there is pain, there is pain. If there is joy, there is joy. You don't try to hold on to the joy, and you don't try to push away the pain. You just let them pass. You remain the screen. This is the ultimate alchemy. Turning the lead of your fragmented, ego-centered life into the gold of a unified, God-centered existence. And it starts with a single simple step: awareness. Watch yourself. Watch your movements. Watch your thoughts. Watch your motives. Don't judge. Don't condemn. Don't approve. Just watch. This watching is the incense that burns away the dross. It is the dhoop of the soul. As we go further, we will explore how this watching can be applied to your emotions, your body, and your relationships. We will look at how the Mullah Nasruddin in all of us tries to rationalize our misery, and how we can stop the cycle of self-deception. The path is open. The invitation is there. The disease is just a call to wake up. Don't be afraid of the pain of waking up. The sleep was comfortable, yes, but it was a sleep of death. The awakening may be startling, it may be painful, but it is the beginning of real life. Stay with me in this silence. Let the words fall away and let the meaning sink in. Not the meaning of the words, but the meaning of your own existence. Who are you? What is this energy moving in you? Don't answer with the mind. Let the question resonate in your heart. Let it become a fire. And in that fire, let the human burn so that the divine can emerge. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And the experience is called a disease only because you have forgotten who you are. It is time to remember. It is time to cross the bridge. Rationalization is the wall that prevents you from seeing the bridge. And it is the very fabric of the human disease. We are master deceivers, not just of others, but of ourselves. We have a peculiar talent for finding logical reasons for our illogical miseries. If we are angry, we say it is because the other person was wrong. If we are greedy, we say we are planning for the future. If we are fearful, we call it caution. We never look at the disease itself. We only look at the justifications we have built around it. I am reminded of a story about Mullah Nasruddin. He once bought a donkey, and the previous owner gave him strict instructions on how much to feed it every day. Nasruddin, being a man of logic and economy, thought to himself, "This is far too much food. It is a waste. I will slowly train this donkey to live on less." So day by day he reduced the donkey's ration by just a little bit. He was very scientific about it. He thought, if I reduce it slowly enough, the donkey won't even notice the change. It will become accustomed to a smaller and smaller amount. He went on with this experiment for weeks. The ration became smaller and smaller until it was almost nothing. And then one morning, the donkey simply fell down and died. Nasruddin was devastated, but not for the donkey. He looked at the dead animal and said, "What a pity! If I had just had a little more time. If this donkey had not died so easily, I would have made him accustomed to no diet at all. The experiment was just about to be completed, and it is a pity that he died right at the finish line." This is exactly what you are doing with your own life. You are rationalizing your own starvation. You are starving your soul of joy, of silence, of presence, all in the name of some experiment or some future goal. You tell yourself, I will be happy when the mortgage is paid, or I will meditate when the children are grown, or I will be at peace when I have achieved success. You are reducing your food, your spiritual nourishment daily, thinking you are becoming more efficient, more practical, more human. But you are just killing the donkey. Your spirit is dying under the weight of your rationalizations. And the most tragic part is that when you are on your deathbed, you will say the same thing Nasruddin said. What a pity! I was just about to start living, and now the experiment is over. Stop the rationalizations. They are not help, they are hindrances. They are the ways the mind protects the ego from the fire of awareness. If you want to cross the bridge, you must stop being a Mullah Nasruddin. You must stop trying to manipulate your nature to fit your logic. This brings us to a very profound point in the Atma Pooja Upanishad, the concept of Swabhav, your intrinsic nature. In the West, they talk about character. But character is something built from the outside. It is a social construction. In the East, we talk about Swabhav, that which you are born with, your Tao, your unique potential. The human disease is that we are always trying to choose our nature instead of allowing it to flower. You see a saint and you think, I should be like that. So you try to force yourself into the mold of a saint. You see a successful businessman and you try to force yourself into that mold. This choosing is the conflict. This is the tension. The Upanishads say, feel your Swabhav. Feel your nature. Don't try to choose, rather allow. This is the difference between yoga and bhakti, the two great paths. Yoga is often seen as a path of effort, a path of doing, while bhakti is the path of devotion, of surrender. But at their peak, they are the same. They both require you to move from the chosen effort to the happening. If you try to force a direction upon your life, that direction will be arduous, difficult, and ultimately futile. It's like rowing a boat against the current. You may move a little bit, but you will be exhausted. And the moment you stop rowing, the river will take you back. But a non-chosen direction, a direction that happens to you naturally, is sahaj, easy, natural, and spontaneous. How do you find this happening? Not by thinking about it. You find it by becoming sensitive. You find it by meditating. As your awareness grows, you will notice that you are naturally moving in a particular direction. You don't have to decide, I will be a lover or I will be a seeker. The movement will come to you, it will grow in you like a seed growing in the dark. This is the beauty of the fire of awareness. It doesn't just burn the old, it lights the path for the new. But it is not a path that you have planned. It is a path that reveals itself step by step. You are like a man walking in the dark with a small lamp. The lamp only shows you 2 or 3 feet ahead. You want to see the whole 10 miles, but that is not possible. If you take those first 3 feet, the lamp moves with you, and the next 3 feet are revealed. The mind wants the 10-mile map. It wants certainty. It wants to know the how and the why before it takes a single step. But the soul is content with the lamp. The soul knows that as long as the fire of awareness is burning, you can never be lost. I see so many people who are religious, but not spiritual. What is the difference? A religious person has a chosen morality. He has a set of rules. He says, I will not lie, I will not steal, I will be kind. He is constantly fighting himself. He wants to lie, but he forces himself to tell the truth. He is a house divided. His truth is just a thin layer of paint over a mountain of lies. A spiritual person has no rules. He only has awareness. Because he is aware, he cannot lie. Not because he shouldn't, but because a lie is a state of unconsciousness. To lie, you have to be asleep. To be angry, you have to be asleep. To be greedy, you have to be asleep. The moment you wake up, these things become impossible. They fall away. Not because you have conquered them, but because they have no place in the light. This is why I say, man is the problem, but awareness is the solution. You don't need to fix your problems, you need to wake up from the you that has the problems. Look at the nature of your tension. It is always about the should. I should be more productive. I should be more spiritual. I should be better. This should is the voice of the society, the voice of the priest, the voice of the parent. It is not your voice. Your voice is the silence that lies beneath the shoulds. In that silence, you find your Tao. You find that perhaps you are not meant to be a saint in the traditional sense. Perhaps you are meant to be a poet, or a dancer, or a simple gardener. And in being a simple gardener with total awareness, you are more holy than any priest who is just following a chosen path. The ultimate alchemy is the transformation of effort into grace. As long as you are making an effort, the I, the ego is present. I am doing this. But when the effort drops, when you are just allowing, then grace enters. Then the divine moves through you. You are no longer the actor, you are the instrument. This is the Om we have been talking about. It is the sound of the instrument being played by the divine hands. But for the divine to play you, you must be hollow. You must be like a flute, empty inside. If you are full of your knowledge, your rationalizations, and your chosen directions, there is no room for the music. This emptiness is what people fear most. They call it boredom or loneliness. But I tell you, this emptiness is the most sacred space in the universe. It is the Garbha, the womb. If you can sit in your emptiness without trying to fill it with thoughts or distractions, the alchemy begins. The disease starts to transform. The leaden weight of your emptiness becomes the golden light of your plenum, your fullness. You are not a human being trying to find the divine. You are the divine that has become entangled in the human disease through the mechanism of identification. You have identified with the bridge. You have identified with the donkey. You have identified with the Mullah Nasruddin, who is trying to rationalize the starvation of his soul. Drop the identifications. Just for this moment, don't be a husband, don't be a wife, don't be a worker, don't be a seeker. Just be a presence. Just be the fire of awareness. Feel the heat of this fire. It is not a destructive heat, it is a creative heat. It is the Chidagni. It is the heat that hatches the egg of the soul. You have been an egg for too long. You have been protective of your cell, but the cell is now too small for you. The tension you feel is the pressure of your growing spirit against the walls of the cell. Don't try to fix the tension. Don't try to make the cell more comfortable. Break it. The breaking of the cell is what we call a spiritual crisis. It is the moment when the known world collapses. It is a moment of great fear, but it is also the moment of great opportunity. If you can stay aware in the middle of the collapse, you will see that you don't need the cell anymore. You have wings. You can fly into the unknowable. The Upanishads are not a philosophy of the cell. They are a manual for the wings. They are here to tell you that the sky is yours. but you must be willing to leave the ground. You must be willing to leave the human disease behind. And remember, the cure is not a medicine you take. The cure is the Om that you are. It is the constant contemplation of that which is beyond the mind. It is the nischintanam, the state of no anxiety. Why is there no anxiety? Because there is no I to be anxious. The I is the one who worries about the future. The I is the one who regrets the past. When the I is consumed in the Chidadani, only the present remains. And in the present there is only celebration. There is a deep laughter in the heart of the universe. You can hear it in the wind. You can see it in the dancing leaves. You can feel it in the pulse of your own blood. This laughter is the sign of health. If your religion makes you serious, if it makes you somber, then it is not religion. It is just another form of the disease. True religion is a dance. It is a psalm. It is a super thanks to existence for the very gift of being. It is the realization that you are not separate and you never have been. The problem was just a misunderstanding. The bridge was just a dream. You are already on the other shore. You have always been there. Stay in this realization. Let it sink deep into your marrow. Let the Om vibrate in every cell of your body. You are cured. Not because you have changed, but because you have finally seen who you are. But even this seeing, this final realization, is often misunderstood by the logical mind. You must understand that logic is a horizontal movement. It moves from one thought to another, from one conclusion to the next. It is a chain. But the experience of the Upanishads is a vertical explosion. It is not a link in a chain, it is the breaking of the chain itself. Look at the difference between a man of logic and a man of experience. I am reminded of Socrates. Socrates is perhaps the most logical mind the West has ever produced. Even at the moment of his death, when the poison was being prepared, he was perfectly calm. His disciples were weeping, but he was rationalizing. He said to them, "Why be afraid? There are only two possibilities. Either I will die completely, as the materialists say, and if I am no more, there will be no one left to suffer, so there is no reason for fear. Or the religious people are right and the soul is immortal, in which case only the body will die and I will continue to exist. In that case too, there is no reason for fear." This is a beautiful logic. It is perfect. But it is not the fearlessness of a Buddha or a Mahavira. Socrates is still weighing options. he is still in the realm of either or. His fearlessness is a conclusion of the mind. A Buddha's fearlessness is not a conclusion, it is a state of being. Buddha does not say either this or that. He knows. He has seen the deathless within himself. He doesn't need to argue with death. He has already transcended it. This is the distinction you must grasp if you are to cure the disease of being human. The mind can give you a very polished, very intellectual substitute for reality. It can give you a logic that looks like courage, a theory that looks like truth, a dogma that looks like faith. But a substitute is always a dead thing. It cannot nourish you. You can spend your whole life as a Socrates, being very rational, very brave, very intelligent, and yet remain completely untouched by the divine. The Upanishads are not interested in Socratic logic. They are interested in Chidagni, the fire of consciousness that burns away the very need for logic. When the sun rises, you don't need a logical argument to prove that the light is there. You simply see it. When your awareness rises, you don't need a philosophy to prove that you are divine. You simply are. This is why I say that philosophy is the realm of the unknown, but religion is the realm of the unknowable. Philosophy is always trying to turn the unknown into the known. It wants to conquer the mystery. It wants to put a flag on the peak of the mountain and say, "Now I know." But religion is a surrender to the mystery. It is not a conquest, it is a vanishing. You don't know the mystery, you become the mystery. Think about the incense again, the dhoop. The Upanishad says to create the fire of awareness in oneself is the incense. This is a very strange kind of worship. Usually you go to a temple and light an incense stick before an idol. You think you are doing something religious. But the Upanishad says that is just a gesture. The real incense is your own awareness. And just as the fragrance of the incense stick only spreads when the stick is burning, your fragrance, your soul's divinity only spreads when you are in the fire of awareness. What is this fire? It is the fire of nissintanam. No anxiety, no thought. Most people think that to be without thought is to be in a state of idiocy or sleep. No. It is a state of the highest intelligence. When you are in a deep problem, your mind is very active, but it is not very intelligent. It is just running in circles. It is like a car stuck in the mud. The wheels are spinning fast, but the car is not moving. That is what you call thinking. Intelligence is the ability to see things clearly. And for clarity, you need a silent mind. You need a mind that is like a mirror, not a mind that is like a whirlpool. The whirlpool can only distort. The mirror reflects as it is. This is the goal of the ultimate alchemy, to turn the whirlpool of your mind into the mirror of your soul. But you have become so accustomed to the whirlpool. You think that if the whirlpool stops, you will die. You have identified yourself with the movement, with the chaos, with the disease. This is why when you sit in silence, you feel uneasy, you feel diseased, you start fidgeting, you want to do something, you want to check your phone, you want to talk. This restlessness is the symptom of your addiction to the ego. The ego is like a bicycle. It only stays upright as long as you keep pedaling. The moment you stop pedaling, it falls. Your thoughts, your worries, your ambitions, these are the pedaling. You are afraid to stop because you don't want the ego to fall. But I say to you, let it fall. Only when the bicycle falls can you start walking on your own 2 feet. Only when the ego falls can you discover your true Swabhav, your true nature. We have talked about Swabhav versus character. Character is a cage built of good habits. Society likes people with character because they are predictable. They are like machines. You know exactly what a man of character will do in any given situation. He is a dead thing. But a man of Swabhav, a man of nature, is unpredictable. He is like a river. He moves according to the moment. He is spontaneous. The human disease is the attempt to replace Swabhav with character. We try to be good because we are afraid to be natural. We try to be holy because we are afraid to be whole. But holiness without wholeness is just a neurosis. It is a suppression. And anything suppressed will eventually explode. I want you to be natural. I want you to be Sahaj. To be Sahaj means to be so at ease with yourself that you don't have to try to be anything. If you are angry, be angry, but be aware of the anger. If you are sad, be sad, but be aware of the sadness. The awareness is the key. It is the fire. If you are angry with awareness, the anger becomes a different quality altogether. It becomes a flash of lightning that clears the air. If you are sad with awareness, the sadness becomes a deep, beautiful silence. This is the secret of the Om. Om is not a word. It is the sound that exists when all other sounds have ceased. It is the sound of the silence. In the Atma Pooja Upanishad, it is said that the constant contemplation of that, the Om, is meditation. This contemplation is not a mental effort, it is a nischintanam. It is the state where you are so relaxed, so present, that the Om begins to resonate within you of its own accord. You are the instrument and existence is the player. But you are too tight. You are like a guitar whose strings are stretched so thin that they are about to break. This tightness is your tension. You are trying too hard. You are trying to solve your life. You are trying to achieve God. You are trying to find peace. Drop the trying. Peace is not something you find. It is something that happens when you stop looking. God is not a goal at the end of a long journey. God is the one who is taking the journey. The bridge you are walking on, this human state, is not something to be tolerated until you reach the other side. It is the dance itself. Man is a bridge, yes, but don't just walk on the bridge, dance on it. Celebrate the tension, celebrate the struggle, for it is through this very struggle that the fire of awareness is lit. Without the friction, there is no fire. Your problems, your miseries, your human disease are the fuel for your awakening. If you were already perfect, you would be a stone. If you were already a God, you would be a total consciousness with no possibility of growth. But you are in the middle. You have the darkness of the animal and the light of the divine. This is a magnificent opportunity. You can turn the lead into gold. You can turn the mud into a lotus. But the alchemy requires you to be honest. You must stop the rationalizations of the Mullah Nasruddin within you. You must stop telling yourself that you are preparing for life. Life is happening now. The donkey is starving now. Don't wait for a perfect moment to be aware. This moment is the only moment you have. I see people who are waiting for the perfect conditions to meditate. They want a quiet room, a special cushion, a certain temperature, and no noise. They are looking for a symmetry. Life is noisy. Life is messy. Life is full of interruptions. True meditation, nischintanam, is the ability to be silent in the middle of the noise. It is the ability to be at peace in the middle of the storm. If you can be aware while you are eating, while you are walking, while you are working, then the fire of awareness is constant. Then it is no longer an activity. It is your very breath. And when awareness becomes your breath, the disease of being human is gone. You are still in a human body. You are still in the world, but you are no longer of the world. You have become a lotus, rooted in the mud, but blooming in the sun, untouched by the water. This is the message of the Upanishads. It is the most ancient message, and yet it is the most modern, because it is the only one that can save humanity from its own madness. We have tried science, and it has given us great power, but no wisdom. We have tried philosophy, and it has given us great ideas, but no peace. Now we must try the ultimate alchemy. We must move from the known and the unknown to the unknowable. We must have the courage to say, I do not know. Not as a logical conclusion, but as a deep, humble realization. When you say, I do not know from the depths of your heart, the ego disappears. The ego can only live in knowing. In not knowing, there is only the divine. In not knowing, there is only the Om. Let this silence settle in you. Let the disease be seen for what it is, just a shadow. And as you bring the fire of awareness closer, the shadow will naturally disappear. You don't have to fight the shadow, you just have to light the lamp. The lamp is within you. The fire is within you. The incense is within you. You are the temple, you are the priest, and you are the deity. This is the atma pooja, the worship of the self by the self. In this worship, there is no separation. There is only the one. Stay in this oneness. Don't let the mind pull you back into the two, into the many, into the fragmented. If it tries, just watch it, smile at it, let it be, but don't follow it. You are the master now. You have found the cure. And the cure is simply this: to be here, now, totally, without any anxiety, without any becoming, just in a pure state of being. In this state, the bridge is crossed. The human is transcended. The disease is gone. There is only the health of the whole. There is only the fragrance of the incense spreading through the universe. We have walked together on this bridge. We have looked into the abyss, and we have found that the abyss is not empty, it is full of God. We have looked at our disease, and we have found that it was just the labor pain of the soul. Now the new man is born. Now the Om is heard. Let the celebration begin. Not a celebration of a goal achieved, but a celebration of the journey itself. For in the ultimate alchemy, the path and the goal are one. The seeker and the sought are one. You have always been what you were looking for. You are the cure. You are the light. You are the Om. You are the cure. You are the light. You are the Om. But how do you remain in this light when the world around you is so dark, so heavy, and so demanding? This is where the mind returns with its questions. It says it is easy to hear the Om when I am listening to you, Osho. It is easy to feel the fire when I am sitting in silence. But what happens when I go back to the office? What happens when my children are screaming? What happens when I am stuck in traffic? This very question is part of the disease. It assumes that there is a spiritual life and a mundane life. It assumes that the temple is holy and the marketplace is not. I tell you, there is no such division. The marketplace is the temple if you are aware. The office is the monastery if you are conscious. The noise of the traffic is the Om if you know how to listen. The division is not in the world. The division is in your own mind. You have created a sud for your meditation. You think meditation should be peaceful, it should be silent, it should be away from the world. No. Real meditation is the ability to be in the world and yet stay untouched. It is like the lotus flower that grows in the mud. The mud is necessary for the lotus to bloom, but the lotus is not the mud. Think about your tension again. You feel tension because you are trying to be in two places at once. When you are at work, you are thinking about being at home. When you are at home, you are thinking about work. You are never where you are. This split is the disease. To be cured is to be total. If you are washing the floor, be only the washing. If you are typing a letter, be only the typing. If you are angry, be totally angry, but with the light of awareness shining on it. When you are total, the I disappears. Have you ever noticed this? In moments of great danger or in moments of total creativity, the ego is gone. If you are driving a car and suddenly a child runs into the road, in that split second of braking, there is no I. There is only the action. There is only the awareness. In that moment, you are a Buddha. But as soon as the danger passes, the I comes back and says, wow, I saved that child. I am a great driver. The ego is a parasite that lives on the memory of your total movements. The Upanishads invite you to make this total movement your constant state. This is what it means to eat of the tree of life. To be alive is to be total. To be human in the diseased sense is to be partial, to be fragmented, to be a ghost of yourself. You are always holding something back. You are always calculating. You are always rationalizing. Like Mullah Nasruddin, trying to see how little of yourself you can give to the moment. I want you to give everything. Be a gambler. Risk your ego. Risk your character. Risk your social standing for the sake of being real. What have you got to lose? Only your chains, only your boredom, only your misery. The disease of being human is a heavy burden, but you are the one holding on to it. You think the burden is tied to you, but you are the one gripping the rope. Just let go of the rope. But the mind asks, how? Give me a method. This how is the ultimate trap. There is no how to being yourself. If I give you a method, that method becomes another should. It becomes another rule. It becomes another cage. I can only point to the fire. I cannot burn for you. You must step into the fire yourself. In the Atma Pooja Upanishad, when it says that the contemplation of the Om is the meditation, it is giving you a hint. The Om is not a sound you make, it is a sound you receive. It is already there vibrating in the silence of your heart. You don't have to create it. You only have to listen for it. But to listen, you must be silent. Not a forced silence, but a nischintanam. A silence born of the realization that there is nothing to worry about. Why is there nothing to worry about? Because the universe is taking care of itself. The trees are growing, the stars are moving, the seasons are changing, and you are not doing any of it. Your heartbeat is happening, your breath is happening, your digestion is happening, all without your help. If the whole existence can function so perfectly without your ego, why do you think you need the ego to manage your life? The ego is a self-appointed manager who has no real power but takes all the credit. It is the ego that creates the problems. It takes a simple situation and turns it into a struggle. For example, if you are lonely, that is a simple fact. But the ego enters and says, I shouldn't be lonely. Something is wrong with me. I need to find someone. Now you have a problem. Now you have anxiety. Now you have a disease. If you just look at the loneliness without the ego, it becomes aloneness. It becomes a beautiful, silent space. It becomes a sanctuary. The fact has not changed, but your relationship to it has changed. This is the alchemy. Awareness changes the quality of the fact. It turns the lead of a problem into the gold of an experience. Man is the problem because man is the only being who can live in the mental instead of the existential. An animal is existential. A god is existential. Only man is mental. You live in your head. You live in your thoughts about life rather than in life itself. You are like a person who is sitting in a beautiful garden but is busy reading a book about gardening. You are missing the reality for the sake of the description. The Upanishads are not a description, they are a provocation. They are meant to kick you out of your head and into your being. They are meant to suck you into the realization that you are already the divine. You are not a traveler on a bridge, you are the bridge. The shore and the ocean all at once. But you are afraid of this vastness. You prefer the smallness of your disease because it is manageable. You know your misery. It is like an old worn-out shoe. It might have holes, but it is comfortable. The divine is a vast open sky. It is terrifying because there are no boundaries. There is no I to hold on to anything. In that sky, you must disappear. And that is the only cure. The cure for the disease of being human is the death of the human. Not a physical death, but a psychological death. The death of the person, the death of the ego. When you die to your past, when you die to your labels, when you die to your knowledge, then you are reborn. This is the new man I speak of. A man who is as innocent as a child, but as conscious as a Buddha. This new man does not seek meaning in life. He is the meaning. He doesn't ask why, because he is so full of the isness of existence that the question never arises. The question why only arises when you are disconnected from the source. When you are thirsty, you don't ask why is there water. You just drink. When you are full of the divine, you don't ask about the purpose of life. You just live. Look at your life through this lens. Where are you being partial? Where are you holding back? Where are you being a Mullah Nasruddin, rationalizing your lack of passion? Bring the fire of awareness there. If you are afraid, look into the fear. Don't try to be brave. Just look into the fear. The looking itself will transform the fear. If you are greedy, look into the greed. Don't try to be charitable. Just look into the greed. The fire of awareness will burn away the greed and leave only the fragrance of sharing. This is the Chidagni. It is the fire that does not destroy the gold, only the dross. You are the gold. Your memories, your attachments, your humanness, these are the dross. Let them burn. Don't try to save them. They are the cause of your disease. As we move towards the final part of our talk, I want you to feel this vibration of the Om within you. It is the sound of your own soul. It is the sound of the universe saying yes to itself. Can you say yes to yourself? Can you say yes to your disease, to your tension, to your humanity? Because the moment you say a total yes, the conflict ends. And when the conflict ends, the disease is cured. The cure is not a destination. It is the realization that there was nowhere to go. You were already there. You were always there. The bridge was just a way of looking at things. The tension was just the energy of the divine trying to wake you up. Listen. Do you hear it? Not with your ears, but with your being. The Om is resonating. The fire is burning. The incense is giving off its fragrance. You are no longer a problem. You are a celebration. You are no longer a human being. You are the being itself. Stay in this Nischintanam. Stay in this no anxiety. There is nothing to achieve. There is nothing to lose. Everything is as it should be. The whole existence is a perfect Om. And you are that Om. Let the silence deepen. Let the words evaporate. Only the fragrance remains. Only the presence remains. You are home. You are home. But remember, being home is not a static state of stagnation. It is a vibrant, pulse-like reality. Usually, when you think of home, you think of a place where you can finally fall asleep. But the home of the Upanishads is a place where you finally wake up. It is the beginning of an eternal alertness. This is what we call the state of Nischintanam. A consciousness so clear, so transparent, that not even a shadow of anxiety can cross it. Anxiety is the food of the ego. If you are not anxious, the ego begins to starve. Have you noticed this? When you are perfectly happy, perfectly at ease, You don't feel like an I, you feel like a flow. The I only appears when there is a hitch, a problem, a resistance. The ego is a knot in the energy. When the energy flows smoothly, there is no knot. This is why the mind is so addicted to problems. It seeks them out, it invents them, it rationalizes them, just like Mullah Nasruddin rationalizing the starvation of his donkey. We must understand this rationalization very deeply, because it is the primary defense mechanism of the human disease. You are unhappy, and instead of looking at the unhappiness, you find a reason for it. You say, I am unhappy because the world is unjust, or I am unhappy because my parents didn't love me, or I am unhappy because I haven't found my soulmate. These are all reasons, but they are not the cause. The cause is your unconsciousness. The cause is that you are trying to be a person when you are actually a presence. The moment you give a reason for your misery, you have made the misery logical. And once it is logical, you can keep it. You can even be proud of it. You become a tragic hero. You carry your suffering like a badge of honor. But this logic is the cage. The Upanishads are trying to break this cage by telling you that your misery is not logical. It is an absurdity. It is a misunderstanding. You are a son of the king, and you are living like a beggar. This is not logical. It is simply a mistake. To correct this mistake, you don't need logic. You need light. This is why the Atma Pooja Upanishad emphasizes the Chidagni, the fire of consciousness. This fire is not something you do, it is something you are, but it is buried under layers of ash, the ash of your thoughts, your prejudices, your knowledge. My work is simply to blow away the ash. I am not giving you the fire. The fire is already there. I am just helping you to let it breathe. When the fire breathes, it becomes the incense, the dhoop. And the fragrance of this incense is what the world calls love, what the world calls compassion, what the world calls bliss. These are not things you practice. You don't practice love. If you practice love, it is a duty, a formality. It is dead. When the fire of awareness is burning, love is the natural fragrance that emanates from you. You cannot help but love, just as a rose cannot help but give off its scent. This brings us to the very heart of the ultimate alchemy. In the lower levels of consciousness, you are a receiver. You want love, You want attention, you want security, you are a beggar. In the higher levels of consciousness, you become a giver. You have so much that you must share. You are a king. But you cannot become a giver by trying to give. You become a giver by becoming full. And the only way to be full is to connect with the source, the Om. The Om is the plenum, the fullness. It is the infinite reservoir of energy from which the whole universe is born. And it is within you. It is the unknowable that is sitting right at the center of your known body. Why is it unknowable? Because the knower cannot know itself. The eyes can see everything, but they cannot see themselves. The sword can cut everything, but it cannot cut itself. You are the knower. You can know the world, you can know the mind, you can know the body. But how can you know yourself as an object? You can only be yourself. This is where the mind gets frustrated. The mind wants to understand the self. It wants to have a concept of the soul. But a concept of the soul is not the soul. A concept of God is not God. It is just a word, and words are the disease. We have become so caught up in words, God, truth, enlightenment, that we have forgotten the reality they point to. We are like people who are licking the finger that points to the moon instead of looking at the moon itself. The Upanishads are a call to stop licking the finger. Drop the words, drop the philosophies, even drop the Upanishads themselves. They are only useful if they lead you to the silence. If you just memorize them, they become another layer of S. They become another rationalization. You can say, I know the Atma Pooja Upanishad, but do you know the Atma? Do you know the self? The man that is the problem is the man of knowledge. The man that is the cure is the man of innocence. This is why Jesus said, unless you become like a little child, you cannot enter the kingdom of God. A child is in a state of not knowing. He is curious, he is open, he is wonder-filled. He doesn't have a problem because he doesn't have a self to protect. He is a flow. The disease of being human is the loss of this wonder. We have replaced wonder with knowledge. We think we know what a tree is, so we stop looking at it. We think we know what love is, so we stop experiencing it. We have become bored, know-it-all machines. And boredom is the ultimate tension. It is the feeling that I have seen it on, and none of it is enough. I tell you, you haven't seen anything. You haven't even seen the one who is looking. If you can just for one moment look with new eyes, you will see that the world is a miracle. You will see that your human life, with all its tensions and diseases, is actually a divine play, a leela. The tension is not a burden. It is the string of the violin being tightened so that the music can happen. If the string is too loose, there is no music. If the string is too tight, it breaks. This is the man as a bridge. You are being tightened. Life is tightening you. Your problems, your challenges, your heartbreaks, these are all ways of tightening the string. Don't complain about the tightening. Without it, you would just be a lump of clay. The tightening is the preparation for the song. But you must know how to play. If you don't know how to play, the tension just feels like pain. If you know how to play, the tension becomes a melody. And the playing is what I call meditation, dhyanam. It is the art of being in the tension without being stressed by it. It is the art of being on the bridge without being afraid of the fall. This is the state of nischintanam. It is the peace that surpasses all understanding. It is not the peace of the graveyard, where there is no movement. It is the peace of the cyclone, where there is intense movement on the periphery, but absolute stillness at the center. You can be a busy businessman, a busy housewife, a busy student. You can be in the thick of the world, and yet at the center, you are a Buddha. You are a nothingness. This nothingness is the ultimate health. The ego is the somethingness that is the disease. When you are something, you are limited. You are vulnerable. You are mortal. When you are nothing, you are the whole. You are the infinite. You are the deathless. Look at the flowers, look at the stars. They are not trying to be something. They just are. They are in a state of total surrender to their own swabhav, their own nature. You are the only one who is trying to be something else. You are the only one who is choosing your direction against the current of existence. Stop choosing. Let the river of life take you. The river knows where the ocean is. It doesn't need a map. It doesn't need a Mullah Nasruddin to rationalize its flow. When you stop choosing, you become sahaj, natural. And in that naturalness, the fire of awareness burns brightly. It burns away the man and leaves behind the Om. It burns away the disease and leaves behind the divine. This is the alchemy I am inviting you into. It is not a religion of the past, it is a religion of the present. It is not a philosophy of the head, it is a poetry of the heart. It is the atma pooja, the only worship that matters. Worship your own being. Honor your own presence. Trust your own silence. For in that silence, you will find everything you have been looking for. You will find that you were never a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. You will find that the bridge was not meant to take you to a somewhere else, but to show you the here and now from a higher perspective. The sun is high in the sky. The incense is burning. The fragrance is everywhere. Can you smell it? Can you feel it? It is the fragrance of your own soul. It is the fragrance of the Om. Don't look back at the animal you were. Don't look forward to the God you might become. Just be the bridge. Be the tension. Be the fire. Be the awareness. And in that being, the human is finally cured, and the divine finally begins to sing. The sound is eternal. The dance is infinite. And you are invited. In fact, you are the sound. You are the dance. Let the Om resonate. The Om is not a sound that you can produce with your vocal cords. It is the sound of the silence that remains when the mind has finally surrendered. This is the distinction between the known, the unknown, and the unknowable. Science, as we have discussed, is the accumulation of the known. It is safe, it is predictable, it is a map. Philosophy is the exploration of the unknown. It is a bridge. But religion, the religion of the Upanishads, is a plunge into the unknowable. And you must understand that the unknowable is not just more knowledge, it is a completely different dimension. If you are a blind man and I tell you about the light, for you, light is unknown. If you undergo surgery and your eyes are opened, the light becomes known. But the divine is not like the light in that sense. Even with the eyes of a Buddha, the divine remains unknowable. It is not something that can be reduced to an object of knowledge. It is an experience that swallows the experiencer. This is the ultimate cure for the disease of being human. The disease exists because you are trying to be a knower. You are trying to stand outside of existence and understand it. You are trying to make a theory out of the sunrise, a doctrine out of love, and a theology out of God. This standing outside, this separation is the tension. It is the dis-ease. To be cured is to jump into the fire. To be cured is to let the distance vanish. In the Atma Pooja Upanishad, it is said, Om Tasya Nischintanam Dhyanam. Meditation is the constant contemplation of that. But that cannot be thought about. The moment you think about that, you have turned it into a thought, and a thought is a known thing. So contemplation here means a state of being where you are so silent, so empty of me and my, that can vibrate within you. It is a state of resonance, not a state of thinking. Think of a tuning fork. If you strike one tuning fork and bring it near another of the same frequency, the second one will start to vibrate even though you haven't touched it. This is resonance. This is the Om meditation. When your mind reaches the frequency of the silence of existence, you start to vibrate with the Om. You don't do it, it happens to you. And in that vibration, the man, the problem, the bridge, and the disease all disappear. But why do we resist this resonance? Why do we cling to our discard? Because the discard gives us an identity. If you are in harmony with the whole, you are nobody. If you are in conflict with the whole, you are someone. This is the core of the human ego. We would rather be miserable and be someone than be blissful and be nothing. This is the madness of the human condition. I tell you, this nothingness is not an absence. It is the highest presence. It is what the Upanishads call Brahman. The word Brahma comes from a root that means to expand. It is a state of infinite expansion. When you are no longer limited by your labels, your memories, and your rationalizations, you expand to fill the whole universe. You become the stars, the wind, the mountains and the oceans. And in that expansion, where is the disease? Can the ocean have a disease? Can the sky have a tension? Only a part can be diseased. The whole is always healthy. Health is wholeness. The human disease is simply the disease of being a part that thinks it is a whole. You are a cell in the body of God that has decided It is an independent entity. That decision is the cancer. The cure is to realize I am not, only the whole is. This realization is not an intellectual one. If you just say I am the whole, it is just another thought, another layer of ash over the fire. It must be an existential yes. It must be a total surrender. This is why the Upanishad speaks of the Chidadni, the fire of consciousness. This fire is what burns away the I. Look at your life. Every moment you say I, you are creating a wall. Every moment you say my, you are strengthening the prison. My house, my family, my reputation, my spiritual progress. Even your spiritual progress becomes a part of the ego. You become a great meditator. You become a learned scholar of the Upanishads. This is just the disease in a more subtle form. To be truly healthy is to have no I to defend. To be like a hollow bamboo. When the wind blows through the hollow bamboo, it becomes a psalm. The bamboo doesn't say, "Look at the beautiful music I am making." It knows it is just an instrument. It knows the music belongs to the wind. You are the bamboo. Existence is the wind. The Om is the music. The disease is the blockage in the bamboo. The ego, the rationalizations, the shoulds, the musts. To be cured is to be hollowed out, and that hollowing out is painful. It is the fire of awareness. It requires you to look at your greed, your lust, your anger, and your vanity with such intensity that they simply cannot survive. People ask me, Osho, why is awareness so difficult? It is not difficult. It is simply that you don't want to lose your treasures. You call your miseries treasures. You are like a man who is clutching a bag of stones, thinking they are diamonds. When I tell you to open your hand, you are afraid you will lose your wealth. But I tell you, once you open your hand, the stones will fall, and you will see that they were just stones. And then for the first time, your hand will be empty to receive the real diamonds of the divine. This emptiness is the Nischintanam. It is a state of no anxiety, because there is nothing to lose. You have already lost everything that can be taken away. You have already seen that your ego was a phantom. Now only that which is eternal remains. And that which is eternal cannot be diseased. It cannot be anxious. It cannot be in tension. I see you, and I see your potential. to be this hollow bamboo. I see your potential to be this Chidagni. But you are so busy playing the role of Mullah Nasruddin. You are so busy rationalizing your starvation. You are so busy trying to improve the bridge instead of crossing it. Stop the improvement. Stop the becoming. The new man is not an improved version of the old man. The new man is the death of the old man. It is a discontinuous leap. It is a resurrection. But for the resurrection to happen, there must be a crucifixion. The ego must be crucified. This is the meaning of the cross. The horizontal line is the world of time, of logic, of the known. The vertical line is the world of the eternal, of the unknowable. Where they meet, the man is crucified. And in that crucifixion, the God is born. You are standing at that intersection every moment. Every moment is a choice between the horizontal and the vertical. Every moment is a choice between the disease and the cure. Usually, you choose the horizontal because it is familiar. You choose the known even if it is miserable. I am here to seduce you into the vertical. I am here to invite you into the unknowable. Don't be afraid of the abyss. The abyss is only the depth of your own being. It only looks terrifying because you are clinging to the edge. If you let go, the abyss becomes the sky. You don't fall, you fly. This is the message of the Upanishads. They are the sons of those who have let go. They are the records of those who have crossed the bridge. They are not telling you what to believe. They are telling you what they have seen. And they are saying, you can see it too. You are the same energy. You are the same Om. Let this realization settle into your heart. Let it dissolve your problems. Let it turn your humanness into a celebration. You are a bridge, yes, but what a beautiful bridge. You are a tension, yes, but what a musical tension. You are a disease, yes, but what a divine disease. For it is this very disease that makes you seek the cure. The cure is here. It has always been here. It is in your breath. It is in your silence. It is in your awareness. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be. In this state of being, the Om vibrates, the fire burns, the incense spreads its fragrance, and the man is no more. There is only the divine. There is only the whole. There is only the health. Be the health. Be the whole. Be the Om. This is the ultimate alchemy. This is the end of the human disease, and it is the beginning of a life that is truly worth living, a life of Sahaj, a life of naturalness, a life of total yes to existence. Let us remain in this silence. Let the vibration of these words disappear into the greater vibration of the Om. You are home. You have always been home. The silence that follows a great storm is not merely the absence of noise, it is a presence in itself. It is a weighted golden stillness. This is the quality of the Om that I want you to carry within you. Throughout our journey on this bridge, we have looked at the disease, the tension, and the rationalizations of the mind. We have seen how man is a project, a continuous struggle to bridge the animal and the divine. But now we must look at the final step, the step where the traveler disappears and only the road remains. In the Atma Pooja Upanishad, the ultimate secret is revealed. You are the deity you have been seeking. The puja, the worship, is not directed toward an external God sitting in some heaven. It is the worship of the Atma, the self by the self. This is the highest alchemy because it destroys the dualism of the worshipper and the worshipped. As long as there is a God out there and a me here, the disease of separation continues. The cure is the realization that the one who is looking for God is God. This realization is what we call nischintanam. It is a state where all anxieties, all questions, and all becomings have ceased. People often ask me, Osho, if I stop becoming, if I stop striving, won't I become a vegetable? Won't I lose my drive to live? This is the fear of the ego. The ego only knows how to live through tension. It thinks that if there is no stress, there is no life. But I tell you, the life of a vegetable is far more alive than the life of a stressed human machine. A tree is not striving to be a tree, yet it grows, it blooms, it breathes. When you stop striving, you don't become a vegetable, you become a flowering. The human disease is the disease of the doer. You think you are the one making things happen. You think you are the one meditating, the one loving, the one working. This doership is the weight on your shoulders. It is the lead that needs to be turned into gold. The alchemy happens when you move from being the doer to being the witness. In the state of witnessing, actions still happen, but you are not the one doing them. The body eats, the mind thinks, the hands work, but you remain the silent center, the Chidagni, the fire of awareness, that simply observes. Think about the incense stick again. It doesn't try to give off fragrance, it simply burns. The burning is its nature, and the fragrance is the byproduct. Your awareness is the burning. When you are totally aware, your life becomes a fragrance. It becomes a blessing to the world. But if you try to be a blessing, if you try to be a good person, you are just adding more weight to the ego. You are creating a spiritual character, which is just a more sophisticated cage. True health, the health of the soul, is to be without character. Not to be bad, but to be so spontaneous that you cannot be categorized. To be like the wind. You don't know where it comes from or where it goes. You only feel its presence. This is the state of the new man. This is the man who has crossed the bridge and found that the other shore is not a place, but a way of being. We must understand the difference between the known and the unknowable one last time. The known is the territory of the mind. The unknown is the territory of the seeker. But the unknowable is the home of the Buddha. The mind is always trying to turn the unknowable into the known. It wants to take the mystery of life and turn it into a formula. It wants to take the Om and turn it into a word. But the Om is not a word. It is the sound of existence when it is not being disturbed by the human mind. Imagine a perfectly still lake. If you drop a stone into it, ripples are created. These ripples are your thoughts, your desires, your humanness. The disease is the state of constant ripples. You are so busy looking at the ripples that you have forgotten the stillness of the water. The cure is not to try and stop the ripples, because the trying itself creates more ripples. The cure is to simply realize that you are the water, not the ripples. Whether the ripples are there or not, the nature of the water remains the same. It remains cool, it remains deep, it remains silent. This realization is the ultimate alchemy. It is the shift from the periphery to the center. At the periphery, there is the bridge, the tension, the disease, and the struggle. At the center, there is only the Om. At the center, there is only the divine. And the beauty of this alchemy is that you don't have to leave the periphery to find the center. The center is always there, right in the middle of the storm. You have been taught by your society and your religions to fight yourself. You have been taught that you are a sinner, that you are flawed and that you must fix yourself. This constant self-improvement is the fuel for the disease. It keeps the fire of anxiety burning. I say to you, stop fixing, start seeing. Acceptance is the gate. When you accept yourself totally, your anger, your greed, your sexuality, your fear, the conflict ends. And when the conflict ends, the energy that was wasted in the fight becomes available for awareness. This is what the Upanishads mean by to create the fire of awareness in oneself is the incense. You don't create the fire by adding more knowledge or virtue. You create it by removing the conflict. When the yes and the no within you merge into a single total yes to existence, the fire of consciousness flares up. It consumes the man and reveals the atma. I see many people who are afraid of this yes. They think that if they say yes to everything, they will be taken advantage of, or they will lose their direction. But the yes I am talking about is not a social yes. It is an existential yes. It is the yes of the river to the ocean. It is the yes of the seed to the earth. It is a surrender to the Swabhav, the intrinsic nature of the universe. In this surrender, the Mullah Nasruddin within you finally dies. The one who rationalizes, the one who manipulates, the one who is always looking for a shortcut to the divine, he simply vanishes. And in his place, there is a simple, humble presence. A presence that is content to be a nobody. A presence that is content to be silent. This silence is not empty. It is a pregnant silence. It is full of the Om. It is full of the music of the spheres. When you are in this silence, you realize that you have never been a human being in the way you thought. You have always been a ray of the infinite light, playing a game of hide and seek with yourself. The disease was just the intensity of the game. The tension was just the excitement of the play. Now the game is over. The seeker has found that there was nothing to find. The traveler has found that he never left home. The bridge has served its purpose, and now it can be left behind. You are standing on the other shore, but the secret is that the other shore is the same ground you were standing on before, only now your eyes are open. Now you are seeing with the eyes of the Atma. What do these eyes see? They see that everything is divine. They see that the mud is the lotus, that the sinner is the saint, that the darkness is the light. They see that there is no other. There is only the one vibrating in a billion different forms. This is the Sahaj state. This is the natural state. It is a state of constant celebration. In this celebration, there is no room for dis-ease. There is only the ease of being. You move with the whole. You breathe with the whole. You are the whole. This is the message of the Atma Pooja Upanishad. This is the destination toward which every human life is moving, whether consciously or unconsciously. You have felt the tension because you were resisting the movement toward the whole. You were clinging to your small I, your small identity. But the universe is too vast to be contained in your small I. Let the I break, let it dissolve. In that dissolution, you will find a freedom that you have never even dreamed of. A freedom from the past, a freedom from the future, and most importantly, a freedom from yourself. As we conclude this exploration, I want you to sit with this feeling of nothingness. Don't try to label it. Don't try to understand it. Just feel the vibration of the Om in your heart. This is the cure. This is the health. This is the ultimate alchemy. You are a bridge, yes, but you are a bridge made of light. And as you walk, the light becomes brighter and brighter until there is no bridge, no walker, and no soar. There is only the light. Stay in that light. Be that light. The man is gone. The God is here. And in this Godness, there is no disease. There is only a deep, eternal laughter. A laughter that echoes through the stars, through the trees, and through your own soul. It is the laughter of the one who has finally realized the joke that you were looking for the treasure while it was in your own pocket all along. Smile at yourself. Smile at your disease. Smile at the bridge. For in that smile, the alchemy is complete. You are the gold. You are the Om. You are the divine. Let the fragrance of your awareness spread to all corners of the world. Let your life be the Atma Pooja. Let every breath be a Saha, and every heartbeat be an Om. You are home. You are home. The fire is burning. The incense is giving off its scent. The temple is open. Step inside, not with your feet, but with your awareness. There is no one there but you, and you are everything. Stay in this silence. Stay in this peace. Stay in this Nishintanam. This is the end of our talk, but it is the beginning of your life. a life without disease, a life without tension, a life of pure, unadulterated bliss. The Om remains. This fragrance we have been speaking of, this awareness that is both the fire and the incense, is not something that can be hoarded. It is not a private treasure. By its very nature, it must be shared. When a flower blooms, it doesn't ask who is passing by. It simply gives its scent to the wind. In the same way, as you move deeper into this Nischintanam, you will find a natural urge to reach out, to share this light with others who are still wandering in the darkness of their human disease. If you feel that these words have sparked something within you, if you feel that the Om is beginning to resonate in your own life, I invite you to be a part of this sharing. You can hit the like button and subscribe to this channel not as a social ritual, but as a way to let the algorithms of this world know that there is a hunger for the truth. When you share these videos, you are acting as the wind for the fragrance of the Upanishads. And for those who feel a deeper call to support this work, to ensure that this flame continues to burn for all seekers, I encourage you to look at the join button. Becoming a member is a way of saying yes to the continuation of this alchemy. Your support through super thanks is also a beautiful gesture of gratitude, a saha that helps us reach more hearts. And if you wish to carry these teachings with you, to meditate on them in the silence of your own home, our e-books are available for you to purchase. They are not just books, they are mirrors for your soul. Now let us return to the final mystery. The disease of being human is unique because the medicine for it is the disease itself. Usually, a medicine is something different from the illness. But in the ultimate alchemy, the awareness of the disease is the cure. This is why I say, man is not in a problem, man is the problem. And when the problem becomes totally aware of itself, it dissolves. I am reminded of the final days of a great seeker who had spent his whole life looking for the truth. On his deathbed, his disciples asked him, "Master, give us one final word. What is the essence of all your years of meditation?" The master laughed, a soft, bubbling laughter, and said, "Throw away the medicine." The disciples were confused. They asked, "What medicine?" The master replied, "The meditation, the scriptures, the techniques, the Osho, the Upanishads, all of these were medicines for the disease of being human. But now that the disease is gone, The medicine itself has become a burden. To be truly healthy, you must even be free of the cure. This is the peak of the atma pooja. You start by creating the fire of awareness. You burn the incense, you hear the Om, but at the very end, even the Om disappears. Even the awareness disappears. Only existence remains. Only that remains. This is the state of kaivalya, total aloneness, total wholeness. You are a bridge, but the bridge has been crossed. You are a tension, but the string has been played and the music is over. You are a disease, but the health has become so total that the word health has lost its meaning. This is the point where logic fails completely. This is the point where the known and the unknown are swallowed by the unknowable. Why do we fear this end? Because we are afraid of disappearing. But I tell you, you only disappear as a drop so that you can reappear as the ocean. You only die as a human so that you can be born as the divine. The man was just a cell, a temporary habitation. The man was the seed, but the seed must die for the tree to be born. Don't be a Mullah Nasruddin who rationalizes the starvation of the seed. Don't try to keep the seed alive by refusing to let it fall into the earth. The seed's life is in its death. Your life as a person is a prison. Your death as a person is your liberation. I want you to take this realization with you into your daily life. Don't make it a spiritual thing that you do only in the morning. Let it be the background of everything you do. When you walk, feel the earth through the eyes of the atma. When you speak, let the words come from the silence of the Om. When you love, let it be the fragrance of the Chidadni. You will find that your relationships change. They are no longer a struggle for power or a search for security. They become a dance of two nothingnesses. You will find that your work changes. It is no longer a toil to achieve a goal. It is a creative play of the divine energy. You will find that your very presence becomes a healing force for others. People will come to you and ask, "What has happened to you? Why are you so at peace in the middle of this madness?" And you will smile, because you will know that the madness is just the ripples on the surface of the lake. You will know that the disease was just a dream. You will simply point them toward the fire. We have explored the depths of the ultimate alchemy. We have turned the lead of human suffering into the gold of pure consciousness. But the alchemy is not something I have done to you. It is something that has happened through us. We are all participants in this cosmic celebration. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your silence. Thank you for your willingness to risk your humanness for the sake of the divine. Remember, the Om is always there. The fire is always burning. The incense is always giving off its fragrance. You just have to be aware. As you leave this space, carry this Nischintanam with you. Don't let the mind pull you back into the shoulds and musts. Stay natural. Stay sahaj. And whenever you feel the tension returning, just remember, you are the bridge, but you are also the one who is already on the other shore. If this journey has touched your heart, please leave a comment below. I read your words, and they are like flowers in my garden. Share your experiences of the Om. Share your struggles with the disease, and let us support each other on this path. And don't forget to check out our ebooks and the join button to deepen your connection with this community. Your contributions through super thanks are deeply appreciated and help us keep this light shining for everyone. The sun is setting on our talk, but it is rising in your soul. The bridge is behind you. The ocean is before you. Dive in. The water is beautiful. The water is you. Goodbye for now, my beloved ones. But there is no real goodbye, for in the Om we are forever one. Stay in the fire. Stay in the light. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.